online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound, the Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Welcome along to the latest edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show. In the next hour, Bob and myself, Colin, talking you through... I don't say my name enough, I don't think. People might not know. They might not know who I am. It's not essential, I don't think, but, you know, there might be. I've spent too much time on this now already.
Are you just trying to make me laugh now, like, during the introduction every week?
It works so well, doesn't it? It's like tickling you. But I can't do that either due to social distance. Anyway.
No, that would be very inappropriate at the moment.
Absolutely. But long distance tickling, it might be a thing.
Any time.
Good point, yes. Shouldn't do that at all. We'll be looking back on the Luton game. 5 games of the Championship season remaining. It doesn't seem very many, does it?
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. And when you then look at the table and you think that Rotherham are playing Coventry, they're about to kick off, and we will keep our eye on that for you during the next hour. It's not looking particularly hopeful now.
I think
we've been very positive throughout the whole season, so yes. I think, with 5 games to go, when you're now 9 points adrift, you are allowed to start being not quite so positive.
I don't know about you, but I looked at the league table on Saturday and I thought, well, mathematically it's still possible, but then I suppose when you look at the games, as you say, Rotherham have in hand still, and it's relying on other teams slipping up as well a bit too much.
And I think also when you look at the fixture list, and we've got to play Bournemouth, we've got to play Middlesbrough, obviously, and we struggled against them at Adams Park. Swansea, obviously, on Saturday. These are not easy games. We've had a nice little spell against teams that sort of have had nothing to play for. We could have done with a few more of those, really.
No, definitely, yes. It's a tough run-in, isn't it, as they say?
It is. It's a tough road to hoe.
Someone else once said. Also, coming up with this hour, we'll be hearing from former striker Jermaine Easter. Been catching up with him as we prepare to play Swansea, of course, a team he made 6 appearances for, also 12 for his country as well, and of course scored in every round of the League Cup in that season, which culminated in a semi-final against Chelsea over 2 legs.
Apologies about that. We should have played him on Maundy Thursday. We only just figured that out afterwards, didn't we?
No, I think it works quite well ahead of the Swansea game as well.
I think it does, yes. There is still a link there. There is still a reason that we're interviewing him.
Yes, we'll try and find other seasonal players to play for you as well. Is there anyone with the surname of Christmas, do we know?
That was exactly what I was thinking. Is there anyone with the surname of Christmas in football? I don't think there is.
And we'll be hearing from Dave Ward as well, who's the manager of Wycombe Wanderers Ladies, although they're now being known as...
They're being rebranded.
Wycombe Wanderers Women, which might be trickier to say, but we'll certainly work on it. That's to come as well. But first, obviously, a look back at Luton. That's quite catchy, isn't it? A look back at Luton. Oh, we've got some correspondence as well.
Oh, yes, I know. You keep teasing the correspondence.
Yes,
I haven't actually seen it, because I haven't been in the station to sort of like to see the correspondence.
I'll share that with you at some point in the programme. I'll put it there for safekeeping.
You're teasing it even more.
Yeah. I'll wave it in front of you. Not really in front of you, but in front of me, certainly. It would be in front of you if you were sat where you used to sit before the social distancing thing.
Yes, that's true. But now I've had the jab, then maybe we'll be able to be reunited. Maybe for the last show of the season.
Oh, that would be exciting, wouldn't it?
In a sort of Hollywood film type-esque scene.
Just in another sort of notice board aside as well.
About that.
We've got something quite special planned for the last show of the season. Stay tuned for that. Yes. Fingers crossed. Asterisk, hopefully. Actually, while we're on the subject, we've got some good stuff coming up. Next week, we're chatting to former boss Gary Waddock.
I'm very excited about that. That's going to be marvellous.
He who, of course, signed the current manager.
Indeed.
And then also, in a couple of weeks, I think, or is it 3 weeks? I'm a bit unsure of my weeks. But before the final game of the season, not the final show of the season, the final game against Middlesbrough, we'll be speaking to Alan Phillips, who captained the side in 1975 against Middlesbrough in the FA Cup.
Yeah, that's again a very good a bit of interviewing. Well done, Colin.
Some excellent guests. I was going to say pay tribute, but thank especially JDT and Alan Hutchinson as well from the Ex-Players Association for assisting with the aforementioned.
Indeed, we are very, very grateful to them.
But let's kick off, as I say, with Luton. Very encouraging to score first again.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely in the beginning, you were sort of thinking, oh, goodness me, because Luton did look quite good and we did look like we were struggling to cope, for a little while. And so the fact that we then got the first goal, was just absolutely marvellous. And actually, if the game had only lasted maybe sort of 80 minutes, it would have been great and we'd be really, speaking really positively.
I was going to say, it was such a shame to be conceding so close to the end, but I guess when you've only got 10 men as well, it's a bit of an uphill struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what happened. You know, we coped pretty well, really, for about 25 minutes. But in the end, I know it was really a barrage that we faced, ever since, Josh Knight getting sent off. And yeah, we did really, really well to survive as long as we did. And once Luton got one, you could really see what was coming. And sure enough, you know, the fact that they got 3 was slightly cruel. I don't think it was quite a 3-1 game. 2-1 probably would have been fair enough.
Well, let's hear the thoughts of their manager. Gareth was speaking to Sky's Bianca Westwood after the game. Do forgive the background noise as well. And then some interesting points that Gareth makes that we'll pick up on afterwards.
Gareth, it was all going so well until that one moment that changed the game, the red card decision. Can you give us your thoughts on that?
Yeah, red cards changed the game. You know, Luton had no ideas up to that moment, and against 10, it's Wycombe Wanderers. You know, we're fighting for our lives with 11. I mean, we played so well, played really well. Gutted, you know. I'm sure we'll get the appeal on that one because Mowatt's red card against us at Barnsley, you know, was overturned. That was never a red card either, but we seem to have had a lot of decisions go against us and cost us at major times. That's cost us today at a major moment, you know. Like I say, Luton did seem a threat until we went to 10 men, and when we did, they took advantage of it. Still 2 set plays, and that's disappointing, but it's difficult with 10 men. It's difficult in Leagues 1 and 2 with 10 men, never mind a championship. So, but proud of the boys as always. Efforts with they've worked their socks off in a game. We got to go and win 5 from 5 now, and we're well capable of that as well.
So talk us through the challenge then. You know, you obviously say it wasn't a red card.
No, if you look, Josh Knight has slipped a tiny bit. Now, if the referee looks at that and takes that into consideration, I think he probably gives a yellow and says, "Look, you've slipped, and you're unlucky to catch him." He made the decision so quickly. His red card was out almost before Josh could get off the floor, and for me, I don't think he's had to think about it. I think he's just seen it and gone, right, that's a red. We'll see what the panel thinks, but it can't change the game, but it did change the game. It can't change the result now. The results happened, and I'm sure Luton will probably say something different about the game, but for me, the red card has been a massive, massive game changer.
You had one penalty decision that went your way. Should you have had another one just before that with Uche Piazza?
Again, referees, we're bringing them into the equation, aren't we? I think so. We've had them before, but again, you know, we're not getting the rub of the green. We've been on a good run, and I still consider this to be a good run because the performance, for me, was good. The effort, the work rate, just phenomenal from the Wycombe boys. And this dream is still alive, believe me.
Yeah, because even when you went down to 10, it still took them a while to get on the score sheet, didn't it? And they worked their socks off, as you said, and put everything on the line.
I'm just disappointed at set pieces because, you know, at 10 men, you probably think you're going to defend them better. They didn't tear us apart with 10 men. It was 2 set pieces that have cost us ultimately. You know, the third goal, we're chasing the game. But I go right back to that red card. Josh Knight's got it in there, but for me, he shouldn't have been sent off. We should have saw the game out like we were doing. Happens in football, bigger things in the world. I'm not going to lose too much sleep over it. I've got to get ready for next week now and prepare for the next game.
I guess if there's a silver lining, none of the bottom 6 teams won today. So is it as you were?
As you were with a game less, you know, so win 5 out of 5. The boys have said they can do that. I've said they can do that. Let's go again. They're a great bunch. Can't wait to get stuck into Swansea next weekend and see what we can do.
See, they're positive.
They were, weren't they?
The players think they can do it, win 5 out of 5. I mean, you think, don't you, of the famous West Brom Great Escape, and they won, was it 6? I think they won on the trot, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. I think the trouble is, it's just the results, you know. No, if we win 5 out of 5, then yes, we're giving ourselves a chance. But particularly in this strange season with the Rotherham situation and with other teams, it's not as if we're all on the same number of points, same number of games. And I just think that, you know, that's going to go against us. And Gareth has said in previous interviews, you know, obviously the rhetoric has been very, very positive for most of the season, but recently he has started saying, you know, we're just going to do as well as we can. It might not be enough. And I think that it comes down to that yes, even if we do win 5 out of 5 now, you can still see results not going our way that would mean that actually we are going to get relegated, which would be a great shame. But at the same time, you know, it would be fantastic to win 5 out of 5, even if we did go down, because it would be a real boost ahead of a promotion challenge, hopefully next season.
And obviously you can't do much about the what ifs, but no. Bianca, they're asking about, you know, could it have been a penalty to Wycombe, and Gareth seemed to think so. You know, obviously the sending off was debatable. Yeah,
I mean, both of those things. Definitely, we easily could have had a penalty before the penalty. So Uchi being brought down in the penalty area definitely looked like a penalty to me. Then Admiral being brought down about 5-10 minutes later, and we did get that penalty. I think the trouble with the red card was that Anis Mehmeti had got booked probably less than 60 seconds before Josh Knight made his tackle, and to the referee's eye, I'm sure Josh Knight's looked worse than Anis Mehmeti's did, and therefore it was a red card. Possibly, if we'd had VAR, I don't want us to have VAR in the Championship League One. I don't want us to have VAR full stop. But if we did, maybe it might have been looked at and they might have actually realised that, yes, you know, Josh did maybe slip slightly, did possibly get his studs caught slightly in the turf, and whilst it looked like a horrible challenge, actually, if you were just watching it, if you put it into slow motion, you might then have decided that really a yellow was probably fairer.
There do seem so many games this season as well, and I'm sure, having watched them as well, where, you know, you just think if only such certain decisions would have gone for us.
Yes, definitely. So many, going all the way back to that Norwich game at Carrow Road where you think the Norwich player really should have been sent off in the first half. Maybe that would have changed things. The trouble is, you can never know, can you? And also, probably there's been certain situations, admittedly not many of them, it seems, for Wycombe, where maybe we have got the rub of the green and where we have been slightly lucky. So does it all even itself out at the end of the campaign? I'm not sure. And I think when you're a smaller club in a bigger division, you definitely don't seem to get as many decisions as the bigger teams in the division, such as the Norwiches, the Watfords, the Bournemouths. But at the same time, yeah, you know, you can't just play the what if thing, because eventually you'll just end up going mad, I think.
And you definitely feel, don't you? I mean, it sounds really cliche, obviously, but there are 5 cup finals to come.
Yes, that's very true. And, you know, and they really are cup finals, aren't they? Because we're not really expected to go and get anything from Swansea. Clearly, they are still very much looking to get automatically promoted. And then after that, you think, well, Bristol City, you know, clearly have had a very, fairly normal season, I suppose you could say, for them, because they always seem to be challenging for promotion at the beginning, and then it seems to fall away quite badly after that. Then we've got another trip, obviously, down to Wales, to face Mick McCarthy's Cardiff, who again seem to now be a little bit up and down. And then, of course, it's Bournemouth at home, and that really isn't going to be easy, followed by Middlesbrough away on the last day, which is going to be obviously a bit of a trek up to meet Neil Warnock's side, who did cope with us rather well, if you remember, just after Christmas, when, you know, we were all positive having beaten Cardiff, and then Middlesbrough came to Adams Park, and we took the lead as well in that game, but ended up losing it.
I was going to say, as Gareth said to me last week, but just remembered you didn't hear any of my questions to Gareth, but we only heard the first part of the press session. But he did say that I think it's really nice as well to kind of step back and appreciate that the teams we have left, you know, the likes of Swansea, Cardiff, Middlesbrough, Bournemouth, these are the types of teams that you would sort of get in cup games or cup finals even. Yeah, completely. And in some ways you can say, well, actually, these are the games that we've played well in this season. It's been the matches against teams that you think, oh, you know, we're probably going to struggle against them this afternoon, where we've come away, again, so often saying, you know, oh, wow, well, Wycombe played really, really well. It was so unfortunate that we conceded that last-minute goal or whatever it happened to be. But definitely, I think that is the tale of our season, that we have performed well when we haven't been expected to. And it's those games against the teams that are down with us, where you think, well, yeah, if we really had wanted to stay up, you know, we needed to do well against the Coventrys. We needed to do well against, you know, Derby County, those sort of sides. And yes, you know, we've won some of those. Obviously, we beat Rotherham away. We beat Sheffield Wednesday. We beat Birmingham City away, but there haven't been enough of those results against the teams that are down with us, at the bottom end of the Championship. Really, that's where we've come unstuck. I'm really interesting that Gareth highlighted in that post-match interview saying that despite the defeat against Luton, he really feels that, you know, we're still on a good run.
Yeah, and I think that is true. You know, we're probably on our one of our best spells of the season. The fact that obviously, you know, we'd won the 2 games previous to that, and drawn the one before that, you know, it definitely, it's looking sort of positive. And as I say, it would be fantastic if we could now continue that run. I can't quite see us winning 5 out of 5, but if we could, you know, maybe win 3 out of 5 and get a couple of draws, I think that would be, you know, a brilliant start, if you like, then to the following season. It will certainly give the team a lot of hopefully confidence during the close season that then they can take into a promotion challenge from League One.
And I don't know about you as well, but I've got this real feeling that in at least one of the remaining games, possibly more, there'll be some fantastic stories, like there'll be a fantastic goal or there'll be a fantastic something, a bit like in the Oxford playoff, or in a bit like the playoff semi-finals even against Fleetwood, when you just think, wow, this is really a standout, memorable occasion.
That would be really, really good, wouldn't it? We obviously had it against Rotherham where we didn't really see that coming, the fact that we'd go and win 3-0 away. It would be absolutely brilliant, wouldn't it? If, say, we could beat Bournemouth at Adams Park. That would just be great. A side who were obviously in the Premier League last season. It's one of those things that we've talked about time and again on this programme, the fact that when we played Bournemouth down at Dean Court, as I will always think of it, not the Vitality Stadium, they had, £99 million worth of talent on display against Wycombe Wanderers, who've only ever really paid money for 2 players in their history. So say we could beat Bournemouth at Adams Park, that would be truly fantastic.
And I know they're very different games as well, but to lose 5-0 to Blackburn and then to beat them as well.
Totally, yeah. I mean, and again, that is one of the things that I think we will always look back on this season and think, well, goodness me, 5-0 at Eastbourne Park, and they looked brilliant that day, Blackburn. And you really did come away from that thinking, number one, oh, goodness me, we're going to struggle and we're going to have lots of afternoons like this. Well, we haven't. We've had 2 afternoons that were like that. We've had the Blackburn game and the Brentford game, obviously, where we lost 7-2. But other than that, we've always been competitive. And similarly, you definitely thought, goodness me, Blackburn looked like they're going to be promotion contenders. You certainly didn't think that actually later on in the season, Blackburn would come down to Adams Park and we would beat them. And completely deserved to beat them as well.
I think there's much to look forward to in the final 5. I don't know if anyone's calling it that, but it's a bit like the Super 6, isn't it? It's a bit like we go down to the final 5.
And then the final 4.
Yes, that still works. And then
come on.
Haven't thought this bit through well enough. The Terrific 3? Fantastic 3. Where does reach me?
Fantastic 3.
Fantastic 3. Does that work better?
Yeah, just about. Yeah, okay. Terrific 2. Wonderful 1 up on Teesside.
Yes, much to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Still to come on this evening's Wycombe Wanderers Show, we'll be reading out some correspondence. We've had an actual letter.
I don't think any show has said that for about 10 years.
No, I know, it's exciting.
An letter.
We've had emails as well, but I can't make a noise for that.
I'm not saying we haven't had emails. I'm just saying that someone has actually taken the time to sit down and write us a letter.
Yeah, it's lovely. We'll be reading that. We'll be hearing from Wycombe Wanderers ladies/women manager Dave Ward, and Jermaine Easter. We'll hear from him next.
This is Wycombe Sound.
Second part of the Wycombe Wanderers show. Coventry should be about 4-0 up, really. I don't know if you're following the game. If you're listening on the podcast, you already know what's happened. But
yes, they're Rotherham still don't look particularly good, do they?
No, they're on what you might call a poor run.
They really are, and you would think that it would be completely different because, they've got all of these games, and I know that they must be coming thick and fast, and the fact that they've already played once this week, but you would use that so much to your advantage and say, look, we could be so clear of the relegation zone, and it's just not happening for them, is it?
Or is it just another example of another team who've come up, the previous season and have struggled?
Yeah, possibly. That is true. Obviously both teams came up, and Coventry definitely look at the moment the more likely to survive.
Ooh. Is that a prediction, or is that just...
I think
it certainly looks that way, doesn't it?
You look at the table at the minute. I would be worried if I was a Derby fan.
No, definitely.
Slightly
on many levels.
Yeah, yes, indeed. Although I did notice something today that said that actually they're aiming for the Champions League, which I was slightly surprised to discover because I didn't think you could get to the Champions League in the Championship. But
you sure that wasn't like predictive text gone wrong? Someone started doing Championship, and then...
I did wonder that. Yes, but I think they're just like you said. There possibly will still be a few surprises in the Championship in these remaining games that we have. And I definitely think. Wayne Rooney today has told the fans not to panic, and I think when your manager feels they have to come out and say things like "Don't panic," that's Dad's army time, really.
As mentioned a little earlier on, we've got Swansea on the way next. Someone who's played for both clubs, made 6 appearances for Swansea. He was on loan. But Jermaine Easter had a fantastic period at the Blues, over 60 games played, and a fantastic start to his time at the club.
Earliest memories would be sort of, I suppose, before I actually arrived. John Gorman put a lot of effort into trying to take me there from Stockport. And I had a choice between sort of going to Bristol City or going to Wycombe. And at the time, obviously, Bristol City were in a higher division. Gary Johnson was a manager. I'd met Gary, but because of the effort and sort of the feeling I got from John, I obviously chose Wycombe.
And it was kind of a bit slow for you to get going in terms of goals when you initially arrived, I guess, with Tommy Mooney being in such good form at the time. Yeah,
obviously, when I came in, it was sort of mid-season. It's always difficult joining a club sort of halfway through the season because the lads have sort of built the momentum they had. I think we were top of the league when I joined and the lads were flying high. So I sort of came in and it was sort of adjusting to a new way of playing and a new group of players. And it was a pretty slow start, to be fair, disappointingly. But I sort of changed that sort of the following season. But no, listen, I love my time at the club. It's full of very positive memories.
No, definitely. Something that must really stand out is that your first league hat-trick that you got against Bury, and that was the fastest of the clubs as well.
Yeah, I remember the game clearly. I think I'd come on a sub, actually. I don't think I started the game. Paul Lambert was manager at the time, and I think one of the lads came off. It might have been Bloomy, but I'm not sure. And I came on and obviously managed to score a hat-trick, and we went on to win the game. Was it 3-0?
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Really nice. I guess, obviously, being a striker, it's I guess perhaps other goals do stick out as well, but it must be sort of landmark goals and a hat-trick like that as well, especially being your first league and it being so quick as well.
Yeah, no, to be fair, I can remember the goals pretty clearly, in fairness. I think sort of probably my favourite one of those three was the second goal where I think I lobbed the keeper. I've sort of gone down the left-hand channel and lifted over the keeper. It was a pretty good finish, so yeah, I enjoyed that one.
And it must have felt like the start of something really special. Obviously, there was the League Cup run as well, and you scored in every round of that. That must have been a competition that you enjoyed scoring in as well.
Yeah, I managed to score. I can't remember, but I scored quite a lot of goals in that competition. Most of them for Wycombe, but I managed to do pretty well during my career through playing in the League Cup. But no, we had fantastic memories. Obviously, we played some decent Premier League teams that year, and we beat them, and to be fair, we beat them pretty convincingly in some of the games. So, no, it was good memories. We had a good group of players there, good group of lads. Some of them I still keep in touch with even now, today. So, no, it was good.
And obviously to score in the first leg as well, that must have been fantastic, and to play at Stamford Bridge too.
Yeah, I've managed to play at the Bridge a few times since that game, but yeah, it was a great experience. Obviously, it was a full house, I think, and the Wycombe fans came in their numbers, and it was a really good evening.
As I say, such a special time, and I know that year you were in the League 2 Team of the Year and got Player of the Year as well. It must have been such a great sort of time to be involved in the club and to be in such great form as well.
Yeah, no, it was brilliant. Like I said, we had a great group of lads, and a lot of the lads went on and played at a lot higher level. Some of the boys went on and played in the Premier League. A lot of the boys went on and played internationally. So we had the squad of players we had then was probably better than the level we were playing at the time, which is probably why we went on such a good run in the Cup.
And it's around the time you got your Wales debut as well. That must have been really special, A, to sort of represent your country, but also to be one of the few Wycombe players, especially at the time, to have got international honours. Yeah,
I think someone told me before the Chelsea away game that Tosh John Toshak had been watching me, and that he was going to be at that game that night. So I think my debut came maybe a couple of weeks after that against Northern Ireland. How did you get to actually find out that you were going to be picked? I can't remember, to be honest with you. I'd like to say Tosh rang me, but I don't think he did. I can't remember. It might have been through Paul Lambert at the club. I think it was, to be honest. You must remember very well your feeling of wearing the jersey for the first time. Oh yeah, it was a fantastic feeling. Not a lot of players can say they represented their country, and I managed to do it 12 times. So it was a fantastic honour. And as you say, it seemed to be such a special team at that time, and it must be, as you say, very rewarding that players like Mike Williamson and Nkechi Anya and others, went on to do so well, sort of at a higher level as well. Well, yeah, we had, I think Mike went and played in the Premier League, and Nkechi did, and Russell Martin did, and it might have been one or two others. I can't think off the top of my head, but we had a good group of lads, and obviously the lads proved that by going on and playing at a much higher level than League Two, which we were playing in at the time. And Matt Bloomfield's still there now, of course. Yeah, he's still going. Yeah, no, fair play to him. Great lad, Bloomers. Obviously, he's been there. I can't even remember how long he's been there now, but he's a legend of the football club, and he's such a good guy. So yeah, fair play to him.
And you say you look back on your time at the club really fondly, and as you say, it felt like such a special time, didn't it? Those sort of early 2000s.
Yeah, it was great. Like I said, we had such a good team spirit, good group of lads. We had a couple of jokers in the pack, Oaksy and Clint Easton, and we just had a great team spirit. You know what I mean? And like throughout my career, I haven't gone on after that. All the teams I sort of did well in managed to have that similar team spirit, and we had that in abundance that year.
It was really nice, obviously, for Wycombe fans as well, to see you go on and do well as well, obviously playing for Palace at a higher level, and as you say, for Wales more, and the other clubs that you're at as well, where you had a number of appearances also.
Yeah, they've obviously, I think Wycombe have done well over the years in terms of the players they've produced, and I think they've produced quite a few that have gone on, and maybe it's not produced, but a few players have come through the Wycombe ranks and then sort of gone on and played Premier League level and sort of international level. And so, no, it's been, I'm sure it's been great for them.
And you must have been so pleased to see them get to the Championship as well.
Oh, yeah, fantastic. Obviously, it's been a tough year for them this year, some ups and downs, but I'm sure the fans have enjoyed it, although they haven't been able to be in the stands, which is disappointing for them, you know, because the goal when I was at the club, I remember speaking to Steve Hayes, was he wanted to take the club to the Championship. So the year they managed to do that, and there can't be any punters in the stands, so that's got to be disappointing for them, but still great for them to see it.
No, it's a real shame for the supporters to miss out. I mean, something which really stood out was when they had Tottenham in the FA Cup, and you saw that on the TV, and you thought, oh, this would be incredible if the ground was full as well.
Oh yeah, like I said, you can go back to the atmospheres we had at Fulham and Charlton and obviously at the Bridge, and they were the fans turned up in their numbers and they backed the boys, so they could have had some great times this year. But hopefully they get to do it again and get promoted back to the Championship if they do go down. And next time, obviously, there'll be fans in the stands.
It must be really special as well to be part of the Ex-Players Association too, because it's so nice, as we found on the show, just to be able to chat to different players from different generations and share, you know, the experiences that they've had and tell them about what you've done as well. Yeah, no, it's great. I think the last time I went to an event, it would have been back in, I think it must have been 2018, where there was some kind of Legends dinner, which was nice to go back and see some old faces. So no, it was great. I mean, do you feel, obviously for other clubs that you play for as well, but do you feel, obviously you always look out for the results of the teams and feel a real kind of connection to them, especially, you know, playing so many times for Wycombe as you did? Yeah,
no, of course I do, yeah. Wycombe was probably the place where I sort of made my name, so no, it's great, and I always keep an eye out on their results, and it's obviously great to see them do well last year. Although they got promoted sort of by default, they still managed to get in the division, and so no, it's been good. And it's a tough division, the Championship. I played a lot of games in the Championship, so I understand how tough it is. And I just wonder, maybe if the fans were there, it could have been a bit different to them, because they do turn up in their numbers at the stadium there.
And what do you have particular kind of favourite games, or so anything that particularly sticks out about your time at the club?
Obviously, that Bury one sticks out because it was my first senior hat trick. The Chelsea at home game where we drew 1-1, and I managed to score. Charlton away where we won 1-0 would be one that sort of stuck in my mind, and Fulham away where I think we won 2-1, and I was fortunate enough to score again. So there's so many memories, I can't really mention all of them, but they're just a few of the games that we had which were really enjoyable.
And I guess you've only sort of comparatively recently only stopped playing, and you must have such great reflections on your career, and as you say, playing for your country as well.
Yeah. I was fortunate to have a good career. I probably could have done more in terms of what I went on to do, but you can't sort of dwell on these things. And I had my time, and I look back on it fondly. And no, I'm proud of the achievements I made.
And really interesting your work now as well. It must be great to be able to pass on your experience to other players as well.
Yeah, of course it is. I did all my coaching badges, my A licence and my B licence, and I did think about going down that road, but I enjoy my job. I work with some really good young players and some really good senior players, and the company I work for is one of the biggest in Europe, arguably. So it's great to sort of be involved, and I'm still involved in football, albeit not sort of in the nitty-gritty day-to-day, but I'm still involved. It's still my bread and butter, and it's good to pass on my experiences. And I made plenty of wrong decisions throughout my career, but I suppose the best way to learn is by making wrong decisions. You become wiser, so I can now pass on my knowledge and hopefully the younger boys that I represent won't make some of the same mistakes that I did growing up.
And hopefully you and your family have been well during the pandemic, and I guess it's been fortunate in a way that sort of football has continued, so it's been able to carry on with your work.
Yeah, no, it's different. Work life is different. Most of the work now is on Zoom, and I'm a people person. I want to be around people and meeting people. So I'll be thankful when we can get out there and start meeting people and life gets back to normal. But thankfully, it hasn't affected me too badly, and my family, and we're all safe and well.
Oh, it's been brilliant to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time.
No worries, mate. Take care.
Great to speak to you, Jermaine Easter. I remember vividly going to Stamford Bridge. I was quite a long way away in Stamford. I think I was about near the back. I was about as far away as you could still be, but it's still within the ground. But it was brilliant to be there on that night and see, Sergio Torres come on and just really pleased for the team to be playing against people like Michael Ballack and Shevchenko and people like that and to have got so sort of far, really.
Yeah, I mean, it was so unexpected, that run, in the same way that the FA Cup semi-final run was, and, such wonderful times. Exactly like you say, just the fact that actually we were playing against players of those ilk was just amazing. Yeah,
no, definitely. And really nice to hear from Jermaine. He's an agent now. Not that makes him sound like a secret agent the way I said it, but he's spying for other clubs. No, he's representing other players, which is really nice, isn't it? To once you've been a player and to be able to, as I say, sort of share your experiences with other up and coming players, and he works with other senior pros as well. But it must be so nice to hear from some to sort of, if you're at a club and you can say to your agent, what did you do in this situation? Well,
that's exactly what I was thinking, was it must be really good to have an agent who has actually been a player, because they will be able to relate to pretty much everything that you say. Whereas actually, if you have an agent and, and there must be lots out there who actually haven't played, it sometimes possibly is a bit more awkward.
A really strange thing that Matt Bloomfield was in his team and he's still there now.
Yeah, I know. I mean, and again, that is amazing, isn't it? That, Matt Bloomfield, it's just like, goodness me. Will he still be there in 100 years? And you get the impression possibly yes.
It could well be. Yeah, something to look forward to, isn't it?
We'll notice that actually,
Should we have a look at our letter, or shall I save it for the third part?
That player, he never ages.
Shall I read you our letter?
What is it? Yes, okay. All right, go on. Put your best points of view.
Absolutely. This letter was, I don't know, to be honest, when it arrived, but it was discovered on the mat this morning. At the studio.
You have to understand that we're not all broadcasting at the studio, so it means that exactly. People don't necessarily check the post every day at the minute.
Dear Bob and Colin, it starts.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
it's nice that they put me first.
Yeah, lovely. I would like to... All right. It's alphabetical, obviously.
I'm sure it was just alphabetical.
Yeah, exactly. Got to file it in some way.
Yeah.
I would like to thank you both for a good Wanderers programme you do on a Thursday evening. Good so far.
Oh, that's nice. I'm liking this already.
I've been a Wanderers supporter for a very long time, and it's nice to hear the ex-players, especially the ones from long ago.
Oh, excellent. Yes, indeed. I think that's absolutely right.
Sounds a bit like the start of Star Wars now, doesn't it? Thank you.
Okay, we've now all got the image of the text going into the background.
This suggests how long ago it was written. Last week was the best ever. You had my hero on, Peter Suddaby.
Oh, excellent.
So that was a fortnight ago, I think, wasn't it? 2 weeks ago we spoke to him.
Yes, it was, yep.
It was nice to hear him talk about his career and the things he's done after. So thank you very much, and keep going and doing a good job. Hope you can carry on next season. Yours sincerely, Jane Quinn of Micklefield.
Oh, thank you, Jane. That's really nice.
Thank you very much indeed.
We have already confirmed that we will be carrying on next season.
We've agreed personal terms.
Indeed, if the programme director allows us.
Yeah, so some of the demands have been just discarded, which is a shame, but...
Yeah, we need Jermaine Easter being our agent, really.
Yes, definitely. I should have put that to him, shouldn't I? But thank you so much. It's really nice to get sort of feedback on how the show is being received.
And really nice that actually it's a letter.
Yes.
That's so
handwritten
nice.
Letter.
That is very kind. Thank you, Jane. We are very touched.
Still to come, we'll hear from Dave Ward, who's the Wycombe Wanderers women, as they're now to be known, manager.
Love music, love talk, love Wycombe Sound. And Colin.
If you do fancy a laugh on a Tuesday evening, I'll look forward to speaking to you then. Although due to the modern ways of listening, you can catch up anytime via the Listen Again feature on the website, wycombesound.org.uk.
This is Wycombe Sound.
I see that bit as being Star Wars as well, when Colin says that bit here. Anyway, as I was saying before you interrupted me, just to play your trail, I like the fact that you play your trail and not like the mid-morning trail or anything. Also, are we being sponsored by Bridgerton at the minute? Because we keep mentioning it in trails.
It does get a lot of mentions, doesn't it?
It does get a lot of mentions. I don't even know what it is, to be honest.
I was going to say, only until recently I'd even...
Bridges?
It could well be. Is it like Trumpton?
Yeah. Oh, I would watch it if it was.
Get us with our Star Wars and Trumpton references.
Is it like, a bit like they did with Star Wars, where obviously then they sort of brought it back and now they're doing like more trilogies?
Yes, that spin-offs.
There was a new Trumpton trilogy.
Filmed in Little Marlow.
Yes.
I've brought it up to date now.
Sorry, it's the Wycombe Wanderers Show, I know. We're now talking about any old rubbish.
The bar's been lowered.
Indeed, that's how it gets when you've only got 5 games to go, and it's looking
yes,
grim.
crikey.
Still 0-0, by the way, between Rotherham and Coventry. With regards to Wycombe Wanderers ladies, that's what I was saying. Has that change already happened now? So should we now be referring to them as Wycombe Wanderers women, which again is a bit hard to say, or is there a particular date where they change the signs?
Well, as you'll hear with our chat from Dave Ward in a few moments' time, I think it's officially still to be ratified, but okay. Luke pointed out that on their social media it's now changed.
Oh, right, okay. So I think we should probably go with Wycombe Wanderers women.
Yes, we should say it in that exact way. Wycombe Wanderers women. Say it very separately.
Say it carefully.
Yes.
And also, I'm slightly surreptitiously eating prawn crackers during the programme. So I'm enunciating carefully.
Yes, excellent. Keep practicing. Wycombe Wanderers women. So let's now hear from their manager, Dave Ward, who you might have heard on previous editions of this programme when we spoke to Alicia as well. The FA had announced, or certainly proposed, that the season is going to be curtailed, but as Dave mentions, the league have sort of decided amongst themselves to come up with a sort of a Champions League type tournament. Not the Championship, it's a bit like the Champions League. And a number of teams are taking part, but Wycombe Wanderers women are not one of them, but Dave will explain why, and a bit about the last sort of 12 months really, and how they had a great run in the Women's FA Cup and then started the season late, only played 3 games, and I'll let Dave pick up the story.
It's been another season of frustration, I guess, but understandably so, given the COVID situation and the fact that we were seeing cases rising so quickly. I think it was probably the right thing to do. There were many people in football now that are obviously desperate to get back, and I can understand that from a psychological perspective. There are a lot of people that have missed that social contact and the fact that they cannot do what they enjoy doing most, which is kicking the ball about. So, it has been frustrating, but equally, I think what we're looking forward to now with hopefully a good vaccine programme and other measures in place to try and reduce the spread of COVID so that we can have an uninterrupted season next season. And I think that's what most of us are really looking forward to more than anything, regaining and getting the grip of something close to pre-COVID normality. So all of our focus at the moment is on planning and preparing for season 21-22.
And how have the players coped, if you like, with not having the training, not having the playing, and not having the, as you say, kind of coming together, really?
Yeah, we've maintained a fair degree of that through Zoom sessions, which we do every 2 to 3 weeks. We've done all sorts from sort of online training courses, physical training, with a bit of fun. We've done quiz events. We just had social chats, and it was just with the aim of keeping the group together and keeping spirits high whilst going through lockdown. And again, the vast majority of players, if not all, have all done something to ensure that they're ticking over fitness-wise. Being sports people, they're not very good at sitting around doing absolutely nothing. So they have filled their days with different sorts of challenges. And there are quite a few of the players who are teachers as well. So they've been working right through the lockdown, apart from when the kids were away from school for an enforced period of time.
So for those that don't know, what's the sort of state of the season, if you like?
Well, the status is now that for all football in the women's pyramid from tiers 3 to 6 has been declared null and void. And the Southern Regional Women's Football League, of which we are a team in the Premier Division of that league, have organised a small cup competition based on the Champions League format. And 12 of the 17 member clubs have entered that this season. We decided not to, principally because we've got some long-standing injuries, which was having a bearing on the size and number of available players in the squad. And we had the sad news that 2 of the squad have had to take the decision to retire from playing due to ongoing injuries that would significantly impact them in the future as well as now. So we're sad to say goodbye to Kaz Bisson and Christina O'Connor. However, Kaz has agreed to stay on as our fitness coach. She's a full-time PT, sports massage therapist and so on. So to add her backroom strength to us is really good, and it keeps her involved with the group, of which she became an integral part when she signed at the beginning of the season.
It must be quite a blow as well to lose those players, especially with the team development and the other players that you brought in as well.
Yeah, well, Kaz was one of the first ones I brought in. She's a striker with a very good history and goal-scoring record. She was with me at Bracknell Town, then she was with me at AFC Wimbledon, where she really flourished and developed as a player. And, you know, to be able to get hold of her again and persuade her to not play National League football to help us get there was quite an achievement. But it's very disappointing to hear that the back injury that she's got is so potentially debilitating in the future if she carries on playing, that she's had to make that unfortunate decision. But it's really good to have her still around the club as part of the club and supporting the rest of the group.
Obviously, it's a shame to only have had 3 league games, but you did say well in the Cup. What's your overall assessment, if you like, on how the team's progressing?
We're making really good progress, and everything was looking rosy, really, on the pitch until we got to the Abingdon United game, which was the last league game that we played. We ended up with 5 players on the sidelines at that point through injury. And then during that game, we lost our skipper, Charlotte Bagshaw, with a torn cartilage. And we had to stick in a couple of the under-18s because that's all that we had available. And to be fair, the 2 girls, Maddie Woods and Kiana Fryer, both came in and did very well in that game for us. Unfortunately, we lost to a strong side, been a bit of a bogey side of ours over the last couple of years. And they beat us 2-0, scoring both their goals in the last 5 minutes of the game. You know, it was a knock for us. But having said that, looking at the recovery times for 2 of those players, Charlotte Bagshaw and Jordan Hursley-Atkins, who had broken their ankle in the previous game against Newbury, they're only just going through weight-bearing exercises now and regaining mobility and starting to build their fitness ready for pre-season. So those 2 players would have been unavailable to us as well. So the squad was severely diminished with the loss of 4 outfield players out of a group of 18. And in that group of 18, we've got 3 goalkeepers. So things would have been really difficult had we tried to play any competitive football at this period. It felt the right thing to do, to sit back, reflect and plan for 21-22.
It's nice to see the under-18s, though, return to action, isn't it, and have a bit of a spotlight on them, and also good for you as well for players coming forward.
The under-18s have come back and done remarkably well. I was present for the first of their training sessions, and it was really important that, you know, they looked after themselves physically and psychologically and looked after each other. And that was the big message and the big concern for the management and coaching staff around the club. We just wanted to make sure that they came back and were well prepared. But having said that, they have risen to the challenge remarkably well, winning their first game 7-0. And then they won again at the weekend 5-1. And it's looking good for them at the moment. I'm really pleased to see that progress. They've come back hungry. They've been careful during the training sessions not to overextend themselves and risk injury. And so far that approach has worked pretty effectively for us. So really delighted to see that and to see the girls enjoying their football again.
And going back to your side, obviously, is there something quite nice in a way that you've now got this enforced extended period to prepare the team and the players to come back? Because as you say, they've had quite a long time off, and it must be quite strange to kind of suddenly start playing again.
It is strange, yeah. And it's strange seeing a lot of clubs back playing football in some way, shape or form, whilst we're actually going through a planning phase. Again, I'm quite grateful for the time, because I've also just lost Jack Wells, who was my assistant manager and coach. Jack's taken an opportunity to go to Wantage Town in the Evo Stick Div 1 as first team coach. Which is a fantastic move for him in terms of his coaching career and ongoing development. We're really sad to lose him. I'm sad to lose him because I brought him in not long after I came to the club. And he'd been a tremendous asset for myself and in particular for the squad. Done an awful lot of work with them in helping to move them forward as a group. and to help establish a couple of systems of play that we use very effectively. So, yeah, we're disappointed to see Jack go, but wish him all the very best in his future, because he is an excellent coach and he's a good guy as well. So I wish him every success with Wanted when he gets going again in 21-22. But that also means I'm on the hunt now for other coaching staff to come in and support me.
I was going to say, it sounds like got a rebuilding program with additional players and members of your backroom team as well.
Yes, yeah, very much so. Not what I'd anticipated, I must admit, but that's football, I think. It happens at every level of the game. Things change. Sometimes you have to go through a rebuilding stage, and we're having to go through that to some extent. Thankfully, the vast majority of the squad are going to stay around. The only doubt on that is Lindsay Pinker, who we transferred over to Abingdon United, ironically, so that she could finish off the season because she was so desperate to play, although she just moved into a new house in Abingdon. So I suspect that the move to Abingdon would become a longer-term move rather than her coming back to Wycombe. So that's another influential player that I've potentially lost for next season. So as you can see, I'm already up against it to some extent in terms of finding the right sort of players and then attracting them to the club.
No, definitely. It'd be really interesting to see kind of what develops there. So what's the kind of timetable, if you like, as to what's happening in terms of, players coming back for training, or do they have some time off now in terms of a bit of a break? Although they seem to have quite a lot of a break as it was, but in terms of the preparation for the next season?
Yeah, I mean, most of the preparation is off the pitch at the moment in terms of securing players and securing additional coaching staff. But I'm anticipating that season 21-22 will probably start from us late August. So our typical pre-season would be that we would start the first week of July. We'd be back and we'd be training 2-3 times a week. We're probably going to bring that forward a couple of weeks just so that we can ease the players back in over an extended period, and also give opportunities for other players to come along and take a look at us, and for me to have a look at them and see if they're the right fit for us moving forward. So it gives us a little bit of extra time to plan and prepare, I think, properly for the new season.
No, sounds really interesting. And just finally, it really gets the impression, I was going to ask if it feels the same for you, but every time we speak to you, there seems to be a real kind of growth in the club and the development and the progress of the side, but also in interest and profile as well.
Yeah, we've restructured the way that we manage the club behind the scenes to the extent that the Wycombe Trust, or the Supporters Trust, are now very heavily involved in the committee management, if you like, the board management of the female section of the club. So that's given us an awful lot more resilience. There's been a change to our social media platform. We've also changed our name, or we're about to change their name formally. We've just got to register that with the FA and the County FA and the League. But we'll be changing from Wycombe Wanderers Ladies to Wycombe Wanderers Women. It seems to be the way that women's football is progressing. A lot of clubs have changed from ladies to women, and it seemed to be something that the board were quite keen for us to do. So we're just finalising discussions around that at the moment, but I think we'll see a name change to Wycombe Wanderers FC Women. But the committee in the background are really, really strong, really supportive, and are very keen to drive the club forward and to raise the profile of female football and opportunity. Another aspect of that is to use this planning time to bring in, or to recreate a reserve team, so that we've got another step for the older under-18s who aren't disappearing off all over the country to university, to stay within the club, as well as have some more experienced players in there that are capable of making the step, or helping those younger players make the step into the first team. So there's a lot of work going on in terms of trying to re-establish the reserve team that we lost at the beginning of last season.
Oh, it's been great to speak to you. Really appreciate it. And I wish you all the best with your rebuilding, and have a good few months.
Yes, well, I'm looking forward to it. It's full of challenges, but they're interesting ones, and they're ones that are enjoyable. And it will be nice to see how we do when we get to 21-22, and whether or not preparations have been as effective as I'd like them to be.
Oh, exciting times. Thank you so much for your time. Great to chat to you.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks ever so much, Colin. I'll speak to you soon.
Great to chat to Dave Ward, the manager of Wycombe Wanderers Women. I must say, get well soon to Charlotte as well, who...
Indeed.
That sounds painful, doesn't it?
Yes, it really does. So is their website going to be www.www?
I was wrong. Rehearse humour can be funny.
Yes.
It could well
be. Thank you. I will take that. That's the highlight of the show so far.
And even, as mentioned, it's a really nice opportunity now that the seniors, I don't know if you call them that, are not playing. It's really nice to shine a light on the under-18s who are back in action.
Yeah. I mean, and that's really good that actually, even though this season has been cancelled, that there is still some football being played. Yes, all the very best to the under-18s. And
they're playing Maidenhead Ravens next.
Similarly, good luck to Flackwell Heath this weekend, because again, although the non-league season has been cancelled, if you see what I mean, the cup competitions continue. And so Flackwell are travelling to Lancing to play a fourth round tie that was originally meant to be played in January. So in the fourth round of the FA Vars, if they win it, they will just be 3 games away from Wembley Stadium.
That is exciting.
Yeah,
I must confess, I'm not sure where Lancing is.
No, I think it's in West Sussex, but I'm not sure.
Oh, it sounds like it should be, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Excellent news. Timmy Mallet was at Adams Park this week.
Again, that was slightly strange. So what did he do? He'd been cycling around all the local football clubs.
Yeah, so the Thames Valley, wasn't it? So
bringing his mallet with him.
Yes, I think it was obviously for charity. He'd been to Oxford, and Maidenhead obviously is his team, and called in Adams Park as well.
And yes, so he took a mallet with him, but it was a much smaller mallet than I remember.
Yes, so I think he's got other mallets, hasn't he? There must be.
Does he? Yes. And also this mallet has now got a face, and I never remember the mallet on Mallet's mallet. And if you're of a certain age, you'll have no idea what we're talking about.
I was going to say, if we just tuned in now, you just think this has gone very surreal.
Indeed. Yes, absolutely. We've had Dad's Army references and Mallet's mallet references.
Star Wars, Trumpton.
But yes, it was good to see Timmy there in a Wycombe shirt, even though we know he's a Maidenhead fan with.
Absolutely. No, it's been good fun this week. It's been really great to hear from Gareth. Obviously, still, I think you get the impression, don't you? And I suppose you could argue that he would say this, but they're definitely up for the challenge, which is coming.
Definitely. Yes, certainly. And I would imagine that the same thing will be true even if the inevitable eventually happens. I'm sure he will still be wanting us to get as many points as we possibly can and put in fantastic performances and whatever. One good bit of news over the last few days is that his odds have slightly lengthened for the Preston manager job. He is the favourite once again after that article that I think was in The Sun on Sunday, very heavily linking him with the job. And of course, Preston haven't actually appointed a manager yet, and the thought is that they are now waiting until the end of the season. Anyway, at some point this week, I think he was as short as 7-4. He's lengthened slightly out to 2-1. He is still the favourite, though, for the Preston job at the moment.
And really interesting that Jermaine said from his championship experience, it's so close, isn't it? Literally anything can happen, so difficult to predict.
Yeah, absolutely. And, fingers crossed still. Incidentally, it is still Rotherham 0, Coventry 0 as well in that one.
I don't suppose you want to draw really either, though, do we?
I was going to say, it's one of those games, it's very hard to work out exactly what we want to happen. If the game could be abandoned and both of them could be fine.
Snow, that's what we want.
Exactly. Some terrible, violent sort of like clash between the players. That would be ideal.
Or they could go into administration.
Violent clashes around.
No. See you next week.